Please introduce yourself and say what you're doing. Anytime.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, I'm Debbie, dietitian. This is John, awesome chef. Thank you. Thanks for coming today.
You want to clarify that today is Halloween?
Today is Halloween, which is why we look like this. And everybody's all festive and it's super cute. So we are a bit haphazard here today because as the things I picked for today don't really lend themselves very well to the agenda. So I'm going to do more talking about my stuff. John will have more things to share.
No, we're gonna eat it.
We're just going to eat. We're just going to eat. So we called today tricks and treats, I think, or trick or treat. So I wanted to pick recipes that were kind of little tricks. One little trick is I don't know if my pressure cooker is working, so we hope it is. I don't know. We'll see if anything happens or it beeps. I don't know. We'll give that a few more minutes. So I gotta find my recipes. So today, welcome. We started out, this isn't the prettiest thing, which I hadn't realized it would be. So we started out with peanut butter dip, and the reason why I picked that one is it's peanut butter pumpkin, because I love pumpkin and I love peanut butter. But I think the trick in this recipe, and basically you just throw everything in the blender. So I'll tell you what's in it. You do canned pumpkin, so we opened up, you know, Libby's pumpkin. So you got to make sure you're not using the pumpkin pie filling, because they add lots of sugar and different things to that. It's just the pureed pumpkin. Now, if you are one of those kind of people that cook pumpkin, those little cute sugar pumpkins, and you cook it and use that, that's great too. I'm not one of those. I just buy the cans. And sometimes, I don't know, pumpkin has gotten to be kind of expensive, I think, lately. I don't know if you know this. I've been getting some at, usually I stop at Winco, and they have the Libby's there. But at Target, they have a new brand called Good and Gather.
That's their brand.
And it's their brand, and I really like their pumpkin, and it's cheap, and their beans are cheap too.
Mhm.
So I've been getting that one a lot. So those tend to be my go-tos for pumpkin when I can. And sometimes, you know, this time of year you can run out. Now, another thing in this recipe, because we're trying to do little tricks, is garbanzo beans. This is sort of like a hummus with pumpkin in it. But the trick on this is I use the liquid from the chickpeas. Has anybody done that? They call it aquafaba. And so basically I drained my cans into a bowl and let the aquafaba pour out. This is like liquid gold, this stuff. And I've frozen it when I don't use all of it, but you can use it in recipes in place of eggs. You can use it in place of fat. You can actually blend it up and make like a meringue out of it. You have that sugar, of course, that one, or cream of tartar, you know, like to make meringue. So this is actually pretty good stuff. So I always get the low sodium garbanzo beans, so I'm not adding more salt to that. So this recipe called for a cup of chickpeas or garbanzo beans, and then a quarter cup of the aquafaba. So I'm going to save this for some other use, because it seems like a lot of recipes call for it. And it sounds just so disgusting, doesn't it? I know, the first time I read it, I thought, oh, I'm never going to do that. But now everybody's so into it. Everybody's using it for different things. Okay, tell me when you need to talk, John. Because you know I'll just go on and on.
No, I will not need to talk for a while. But
okay.
I would like to grab a timer.
Oh, okay. So more in my peanut butter pumpkin dip than it had the pumpkin pie spice. And if here we had a pumpkin pie spice that was already made up from Trader Joe's, but you know, it never fails. You're ready to make a recipe. It calls for pumpkin pie spice and you don't have any. So you can make this so easy. Just Google pumpkin pie spice and it's like cinnamon and nutmeg and all the stuff you have in your cupboard that you never. And then it called for vanilla extract. But another little trick, I feel like, you know, this is another thing that's gotten really expensive. I go to Mexico for mine. Last time we were in like Ensenada, I grabbed mine there. But you can use vanilla powder. Does anybody use that? It's just like dehydrated vanilla, and you can use that in recipes instead of this stuff, and it's a lot less expensive. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anyone for the store this time, so you got the real deal here. So vanilla extract and then cinnamon, and then it called for dates. This is my other little thing. That's another thing that's expensive. Date. syrup anywhere? Okay. I was saving. Oh, maybe she wrote it. Okay, sorry. Oh, thank you. Date syrup is a great sweetener. You can use it in place of maple syrup. And it's basically, it's more of a real food than even maple syrup, which comes, I know, out of the tree. But this is just, I don't know what they do. They probably boil the dates, blend it up, and then you got date paste. And so this is a really, I guess, a more natural sweetener. People say, should I use sugar? What should I use? This stuff is just like dates. It's just a whole food. Just blend it up and put in here. So I use that a lot because I don't know about you, but I find dates super expensive also, especially the medjool. All of them call for the medjool dates, were those big ones, but you can buy that huge bag at Costco of ones that aren't medjool. So I do that too, but they're smaller. Oh, I love
Where
it.
did you get that?
This, I got this at a little like farmer's market place. I think it was $5.
The co-op has,
Does the co-op have it? Yeah.
at least the one in Davis did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I bet it's becoming so popular, they probably have it in more places. I haven't looked at Wingco yet. But I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the lady was saying how she put maple syrup, which I also use a lot of, on something. And one of the people said, oh, you know, I don't use maple syrup. I try to have only full real foods. So she uses the date paste or the date syrup, which I think is really good. So, and it tastes just like dates. So that's what was in this. We threw it all in the blender. Voila, it is, couldn't be uglier. But it, just think of it as a pumpkin hummus. And then we've got some apples to dip in it, and my first persimmons of the season. Has everybody had persimmons before?
Cookies.
The hard ones, yeah. So the cookies are the soft ones.
Oh,
So these are the little squatty hard ones. I love these, and you can just even, so when we're ready to eat, we can dip in that.
It's not ugly, it looks like chocolate.
Okay, good, thank you.
Oh,
All
that's a
right.
good way to.
All right, good. I think it looks like refried beef.
I don't want to say what it looks like.
Well, it does look like that. You're right. Like something you find in my granddaughter's diaper. I know it.
What-
Okay,
What's the brand of your date syrup?
what's the brand? Oh, you know, because I got it at
Oh,
some weird place.
Vash.
The Vash.
Vash.
D' Vash.
Oh, okay,
I can honestly say it's the only thing of the Vash I've ever bought.
never heard of it. Because it's.
Trader Joe's has their brand.
is
Trader
it
Joe's
so-
has a brand? Okay, good. Thank you. Good
No,
to know.
that's
We had that
Oh,
here
Oh, where's that at?
last week,
Amazon,
one of the students brought it.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, good to know. Thanks.
$8.99. Oh, that's.
Can I talk about my next recipe, or are you ready to go?
I'm waiting for water to boil.
Okay, then I'm just gonna keep talking. Okay, so I think we've done all the tricks from that. My next recipe, which we did in advance because it was just gonna take too long, are the pumpkin oat waffles. I have to find all my sheets. Okay, so I have lots of little tricks in this one. But of course I need my glasses to be able to tell you how tricky they are. All right, so we started out with plant milk. And then what I mixed with that was apple cider vinegar. What does that make the plant milk into? Buttermilk, did I hear? So now we got buttermilk. And then we put some flax in that. So that also forms kind of an egg. So if you haven't done a fake egg before, it's a tablespoon of ground flax, which I probably moved, but I just keep with the ground flax in my freezer, and 3 tablespoons of water, and you let it sit for 5 minutes. And then it becomes kind of thick and gelatinous a little bit, and that would have the properties of an egg in a recipe. So that's a quick, easy egg replacer for, especially for baked goods. Nobody's gonna know the difference. So that was our little tricks there. Then it called for oat flour, really. And to make, has anybody bought oat flour before?
I just grind my own.
It's,
It's expensive if you buy it. but you just blend it up, right? You use a food processor and you just blend it and it makes a flour. So you don't have to spend all that money on the fancy flours. You just blend yours up. And you can do that with pretty much all your grains too. Like if you had millet and a recipe called for millet flour, just blend it up. So I usually do it just enough for a recipe. But my sister, who likes to have these oat waffles every single day, she blends a bunch of it and just keeps it in a container. So she doesn't have to blend it and dirty her food processor every single day. So that's a good idea too. And then we use the pumpkin puree, of course, not the pie mix. We also threw in a banana, and I used the date paste instead of the dates. We used vanilla extract, cinnamon, ginger, blended it all up. And so we came up with a really thick waffle batter. I consulted with a few people to see if that was thick enough. And we decided we need to thin it down a little bit. So I just put a little more plant milk in there. And then we made a bunch of waffles. We cooked them for 6 minutes. The recipe is vague on that. It says for the person who made it that their waffle maker did 9 minutes, but consulted John, he would start with 6 and 6 was really good enough. So we have lots of little waffles that we're gonna have, and we have maple syrup, or you could put our dip on them too if you want to. Now, I love banana waffles. So I wanted to throw this in because it's pumpkin and it's the season. But if I have a banana that's just about to go bad, and I won't eat them if they have one brown spot on them, but my husband will. But when they get even too bad for him, then I make the ground oats. I have 1 banana to 1 cup of ground oats, throw in some plant milk, throw in a little flax, no measurements at all. Throw in a little cinnamon or nutmeg or whatever you feel the season is for you, and that makes great waffles. From that recipe, 1 cup of the ground oats to 1 banana plus some liquid to make it as thick as you want. That usually makes about 3 decent sized waffles for me.
Is the banana getting sweeter as it gets
Yes.
older?
It is
So
much sweeter.
the sugar is it the content getting higher or just getting tasting sweeter?
It's tasting sweeter, and there probably is a little bit more, sugar in it compared to starch that you would have when it's green, which is the way I like them.
So is this recipe the same stuff it has?
It has the pumpkin in it, and this is really a fancier recipe. Mine, no recipe needed. 1 banana, 1 cup oats, throw in some milk, throw in some flax. Oh, and I throw in a little baking soda. In fact, I think this recipe could have used a little baking soda because they're a little on the flat side.
Baking soda, not baking powder,
What?
not baking powder.
Baking powder is what I missed.
Okay.
Yes, this one didn't call for it.
um,
Okay, you're up.
Okay, well, one of the first experiments that I took on when my daughter and I started housekeeping was mac and cheese. And we went through just about every version we could make with about as many cheeses as you could do, starting with Velveeta, and then Velveeta and cheddar, and then Velveeta and cheddar and white cheddar, and then Velveeta cheddar, white cheddar, Asiago, and on. And I had a heart attack, and that all came to a screeching halt. So we've tried every now and again to reconstruct that, and we have middling luck. Our current favorite is a cauliflower concoction that we made here a couple months ago. But looking for something that used squash, I decided I'd go to, I checked the web. Of course, all God's children, especially the vegans, have got their mac and cheese recipe using 80 different ingredients, and it's on and on and on. You can make there's a vegan cheese right now that's made with potatoes and carrots and sundry things. But one of my sort of reliable cookbook people is Angela Liddy, who does the Oh She Glows website and her cookbook. We have it over here. And she redid hers. She started out with the carrot and potato cheese sauce and went back and said, squash works. and you don't have all the ingredients that you have otherwise, so. This is an experiment I've not done with squash. But I'm trusting her. So what I've done here is I've used kabocha squash. Almost everybody says chop your squash into little, peel it and dice it into 1 inch or ½ inch cubes. Angela says, cut the squash in half, put the cut side down and bake it. I like that.
It's a lot easier.
She does have, this only uses half of the squash though. So if you're not inclined to roasting squash, you can get a can of, well, I just saw on the co-op yesterday, you can get a can of sweet potato puree, a can of butternut squash puree, or a can of pumpkin puree. 1 can will do it.
At any market or certain markets?
I've always looked at the co-op.
Okay.
And I was amazed, and it's like $2.50 a can or no more than $3 a can. I like to get the caramelization when you roast the squash, so that was the option. She uses nutritional yeast, and we've got nutritional yeast here. It's sort of the cheddary umami type flavoring. And for vegans, it can be a source of B12. Some nutritional yeasts will have it fortified, some will not. Yes, it's not. And is this fortified? Yeah, yes. So you can.
Right, speaks good stuff.
Yeah, so you get your B12 here. You're not eating mac and cheese for B12. If it doesn't taste good, don't eat it. This has also got Dijon mustard. One of our discoveries in making mac and cheese was that cheese by itself can sail into the boring. So mustard will give it an edge, that little acid edge. And prepared mustard, Dijon, has got vinegar, wine vinegar, to coax that up to a pleasant edge. I also have a powdered dry mustard in case, because this is kabocha, it's going to be sweet. In case I need to push it a little harder. We have lemon. I won't put that in until close to the end. Lemon will brighten it up. Again, you're looking for something that's going to take it from being the orange thing on the plate to something that you want to attack first. And then I originally thought the first recipe I was looking at wanted spinach thrown in. Spinach is nice, but it is visually a mess. It's something you do at home, but you don't do it in public. So instead, I'm putting peas in. Peas with mac and cheese are a good textural surprise for the mouth. They give you a little pop of sweetness. They bring a different set of vitamins. And visually, it makes the plate look more fun. Oh, there's miso in this. Now, miso is something that until I came to California, it didn't exist. So, and I came across it, and it's like, oh, get this started while I'm.
That's umami.
It is. So miso
Mac
is
and cheese is umami. It's pretty sophisticated.
the thing with miso is that it gives you a little bit of salt, but it's got this other flavor that when you're searching for that cheesy thing that got you hooked when you were a kid or not a kid and you got bigger. That helps. Ultimately, this is not mac and cheese. Ultimately, this is a vegetable pasta dish. It is reminiscent of mac and cheese, but it should stand by itself. You may want to throw in some cayenne to give it another edge, another pop. In my house, we would be throwing in crushed red peppers because my daughter is a big fan and because I snuck it in on her early on. So those are the elements.
Sorry.
It's all nothing like a rumble for me. What I've done is assemble it all. If you have everything, like if you're going from the can, everything is soft, so you don't need a high-speed blender. You can do it with a regular blender. This is high speed was really nice, and I was able with a couple of pulses to just stir it together quickly. This is a devil to get everything out. If you have a regular bowl and you mix it in, you're fine. The pasta is the thing with mac and cheese is that it's largely sauce. So like tubular pasta is the pasta of choice. The elbow macaroni that you saw as kids is the ideal. This is grown-up elbow macaroni. It is a little bit bigger and sucks in a little bit more sauce. It'll handle the peas. It does take a little longer to cook. Probably a little bit of sweat. What you can do once this is made, you can cook it to al dente and then take panko crumbs or breadcrumbs, mix it all together, put it in a casserole, crumbs on the top, bake it for a few minutes to get that little crispy top if that's what you like. For the most part, in our house, we did that a couple of times just to entertain ourselves, but usually we're in a hurry to get to the goods. So we're not going to do that unless you really need it, and then you can do it. You'll find the panko somewhere here. That's basically it. It's a fairly simple recipe. The recipe that Linda attached has not been edited by me because it is Angela's recipe, and she uses vegan butter. You don't need vegan butter. You don't need to oil this stuff up. There's nothing to lubricate here. And for her, it's mostly to add a little slip and slide to the sauce. Not necessary. And I think that's basically it. I think pasta is one of those dishes that you can make a sauce and keep it separate. You can freeze this, and which is what I'm going to do because I've brought enough for a double portion, not remembering that we were having all this other stuff. So I'm only going to cook half. But it's something where you can freeze this, save it for another time when you need it. And it's probably true with a lot of the other pasta sauces you can make, whether it's pesto or a red sauce. You can make a big batch, freeze it in portions that will be enough for when you're not ready to spend an hour cooking. So that's basically it. This will be a few more minutes. I can't believe that this is 10. But I'll be watching this. So you might as well start with these and we'll stir this
Hold
up.
on, I can't have the recipe.
Oh, there's more.
More.
But wait.
John, what's that sauce made out of?
This is kabocha squash.
Oh,
soy milk, or she likes almond milk. I think almond milk is insipid. It just doesn't have the stuff. And it's. I think soy milk is less of an environmental disaster.
I agree.
And we like it. I mean, that's our primary milk. And I used the plain unsweetened, that's all there is soy milk. You can make this really easily. But that's a whole lot of futzing. It's something that you can get for $2.
Did you say sweetened or unsweetened?
Usually, if you're getting like silk will have some sweetener in it. It may not be sugar, but they have,
Yeah.
yeah, they do. They're green on the bottom.
Okay, next soy, yeah, unsweet. I feel like that's the best way to go too.
Well, this is a drinking milk for us. This is the cooking milk.
Oh, is there really a difference or you just,
Yes,
well, I only use that for my cereal. I don't drink it.
yeah, I use that for my coffee.
Yeah.
This is exclusively for cooking and cookies. And it's shelf stable, which is really nice.
That brand or any,
box,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
Is it shelf stable until you open it?
yes,
Yes.
as soon as you open it,
Then it's got,
then you have your week of cooking.
You ever use it for longer than that?
Yeah,
It's okay,
I taste.
yeah.
But yeah, it is,
you
It's
you
gonna
taste
go-
it or sniff it? What did you do? What was that?
you pour
What
it
was
in,
that?
you have a cup in your hand, and you put a few drops, taste.
Oh,
and
okay.
sniff. If you can smell it before your tongue gets there, then you know to stop. But sometimes you have a cold.
What does it smell like if it's bad?
Sour,
Oh, it does, so like sour milk.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I don't think the almond milk ever does.
I don't think so either.
No, it can last forever.
I've had it in the fridge and it still tastes. the
Which
same.
probably should worry us a little bit, I don't know.
I'm not worried.
Well, see, we go, when we open it, it's usually in baking season. Like what I've got, the remainder of the squash is gonna be in a bread. It's a bread that's been sitting on the internet bugging me for the last month. And so you make a round ball, it's loaded with dried fruits and nuts, but with puree, and it's orange. Make it into a ball and take 18 inches, 6 strands of 18 inches, tie it up, let it rise, bake it. Then you take the string off, it looks like a pumpkin.
That's so cute.
That sounds nice.
And you stick a cinnamon stick in where the stem is. And then you go at it with a knife and just figure the hole.
Should have brought the recipe.
I have to try this. It could be an internet fake.
A disaster.
Okay, I forgot this to say one of my tricks on the peanut butter dip. It calls for peanut butter, but I use the peanut butter powder, which is defatted peanut butter. And
Called PB2.
maybe,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. And so this, if you mix like a tablespoon of this with a tablespoon or two of water, it's supposed to make like a peanut butter. I've never actually eaten it like peanut butter, but I think for recipes like this, if you're making a Thai recipe that calls for a cup of peanut butter, it saves loads of calories, but adds lots of flavor. So I use that for the, I get this in the bins at Winco.
I was using that in adding it to my oatmeal, but after a while I stopped. Peanut butter in my oatmeal wasn't good, so.
Oh, it wasn't, see, I love peanut butter in my oatmeal.
Yeah.
I never thought to try that.
I've done
Oh,
that,
yeah.
and apples too.
Yeah.
I've made it with the one tablespoon,
Ah, okay.
2 tablespoons of water.
Okay,
See, I think it's too smooth.
you do,
I need texture.
you like chunky.
Yeah,
And
I
then
like
you're,
it.
you're
I like
putting
it.
too much water back.
No, it's really a fine powder. I like getting it out of the grinder at the co-op. And
Oh,
press the
yeah.
button and it grinds it. There's just something to me that is a tactile thing
Yeah,
in the mouth that
Okay, my last recipe, I used the Instant Pot. If you don't have an Instant Pot, that's probably fine. You can just like boil it on the oven, but it's poached pears and they're poached in red wine and citrus. So I am not used to this Instant Pot as much. So, and I used probably more pears than I should have. So I took pears that I just got at the store yesterday, and so they were a little firm. So the ones that didn't make it down into the liquid are a little too firm still, but I ended up doing it for 5 minutes in the Instant Pot. And you add some wine, you add a cinnamon stick, you add some cut up oranges or half a cut up orange and some lemon peel and a little ginger, and you just do it the Instant Pot. So for me, today it was 5 minutes. And then this is the difference. You take your pears out, which I did. Here's my pears. And then you're supposed to saute it. I have a saute button on my Instant Pot, and this one doesn't have that. So you keep sauteing it and it reduces your liquid a little bit. So it's a little thicker. So ours isn't gonna be very thick. So we just pour that over our pears. And I really love this recipe.
Probably smell the house up.
You totally do.
Over the stove.
Yeah, and if you don't drink wine, like I know Donna always brings those little splits of cheapy red wine or whatever you get at the store. And those are great if you don't drink regularly. We tend to always have a little red wine open at our house. But I think that's an ingenious idea for you to have that.
Mhm. And you can spill that into just about anything. I had
It's true.
a mushroom sauce last night.
Uh-huh.
Just a little splash of the Chardonnay on the onions and garlic.
Ah, see, that's good.
Happy food.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so what other tricks or tips do you all have? Tricks or treats? Any ideas? What are you doing at home?
I've got about 10 pounds of candy to give out tonight.
Oh, yeah, us too. And candy, speaking of costs, have gone up so much that we have like 100 or more kids in our neighborhood who they ship them in, I think. So I got some. I usually try to buy the kind I don't like, so I'm not tempted.
We go to KP and get the wasabi peas, little containers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna love you.
You love-
They don't come back.
Does your house get eggs?
They don't come back.
It's rich in protein and flavor, and you can get the garlic peas if you want. or the
Sounds
chicken.
disgusting.
Terrible.
But if they don't come, then you have,
Something that you'll eat. That's
Yeah.
true. If I don't get rid of my candy, I don't know what I'm gonna eat.
and since we're the only single family dwelling on the block, nobody comes there anyways.
Oh, they don't?
No.
Oh,
You have no neighbors?
I have neighbors, but they change on the month,
Yeah.
and it's sort of
It's
happens.
changed because they have that trunk or treat now at all the parks.
Yeah.
So I don't get any hardly anymore,
uh-huh.
but that's okay. I don't
Oh,
like going to the door anyway, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, being alone and answering the door every
Uh-huh.
time somebody comes,
Oh,
not
that
too
is true.
safe. Yeah.
Just leave them on the porch.
That's what my daughter does. She leaves a big bowl on the porch.
And those first kids come. I just-
Yeah.
Well, she lives in a different kind of area than I do.
So today, at being Halloween, is the official opening season of holiday eating. So we do want to think about what's your plan to stay on track during the holidays. And the holidays really are just a few days, but we tend to treat it from now till Valentine's. And so you really want to think about what you're doing, because our body doesn't know it's a holiday. Our body thinks it's every day, the same old day. So you can splurge, but do have an idea of how you want to handle the holidays. What do you all do to handle the holiday eating, for instance? Eat everything. Eat everything, okay. See, that's one way to do it, okay.
Go for it.
My son says it's only one day, Mom.
It
You're
is.
not gonna eat this way every day, so enjoy it.
And I totally agree with that sentiment, as long as it's that day. But I can't tell you how many people I've seen in clinic on, in January, it was the holidays. That wasn't just those 3 days that got them to where they're at. they made it last for months. So you just want to be careful about how you want to deal with that and have a plan. Have a plan. That's all.
Don't
It-
take anything home with you.
Yeah. Give
Leave
it
it all
away.
there.
Give away a lot of food.
Yeah, give it
Give
away.
it away, leave it wherever
Bring
you
something
want.
that's good for you, if it's a potluck that you can eat. And we'll probably talk about that next month, I bet, will be on our topic. How's yours looking?
No,
Looks good.
it looks arty from here.
It's very pretty.
Sounds good.
So John, do you have any other tips, tricks, treats?
No, mostly balancing on the fork, I think. It's quick. I should probably pour this on serving.
Well, I think you could probably don't have meat. So we've got waffle. And I have more in the back. I've got, we have some maple syrup too, if you want to put that on your waffle. We have the apples and persimmons for the dip. We have the luscious mac and cheese. And we have our little pears. And I think I might cut a little smaller in case you don't want a huge one. So feel free to come up, grab a plate, and let's get after it.
Let's go.
And thank you to the students who helped me get everything ready. I'm not sure what's so. Probably not 4, I bet.